Now we're back to learning CSS. Let me show you the float property. This is used to position or format your elements. We have a lorem ipsum, text here in paragraph, and an image below. Let me target the image and make it a bit smaller. I just use a width with an absolute value. Or maybe that's a bit too small. I use 350. By default, you can see it's positioned below the paragraph and then to the left, and we can float it to the right directly. It doesn't have an impact on the elements that came before it. So our lorem ipsum paragraph is unaffected, but whatever comes after the image, this is affected. So if I copy paste this paragraph and add a second one below the image, this is now going to, you could say, float to the left of it, and the image is on the right. And if I take this away, we have it stacked, paragraph, image, paragraph. I'll float it again to the right. You can see how that works. Obviously, you could also float it to the left. Let me position the image above both paragraphs, and now you can see both of them float to the left of the image. So whatever size it has, it may affect one or more elements that come after it, but it never affects the elements that come before it. Here would be a left float. And this is, for example, an easy way to wrap text around objects and images. Default state is none. So it gets the stacked order when I add this. Let me create a couple of div containers and I give that classes of div 1, 2, 3. I target all of them, give them a width and a height. We try 200 and 100. And now I use the specific classes to give them different background colors. Let me go down with width and height a little bit. 150 and 100 should be good. And then I make it traffic lights, so red, yellow, and green. By default, this is the stacking order, so float is set to none. If I make this a float left, all of these div containers are now in the same line. And this is one of the principles used to create, for example, navigation bars. You can float your links like this into the same horizontal line. Float right also does that, but positions it to the right hand side of the website. And none, once again, was the default. One more thing to add is that there's also a clear function or a clear property, and that is used to get rid of the float when you don't want it to be active anymore in the same element. Let me add 3 more div containers, 4, 5, and 6, and I give that different background colors. They also get all of the div properties and values that I've added for 1, 2, 3, so with height and the float set to none. I'll get rid of the float here. Refresh that, and I obviously have to update the classes. So instead of class 3, it needs to be class 4, 5, and 6 right here for the div containers. And now we should have 6 div containers. No float, so they're all stacked like this. I'll add the float again. I'll make it a float left. And now they're all positioned in the same horizontal line, depending on how big your browser window is, obviously. And now I could adjust the float here for div container 4, which is the blue one. But I can also just use the clear property and set it to left. And now you can see we have 2 rows. So the blue one, it jumps to the next line because the float of the div container is cleared. Let me add that to div container 5. Another gray div container also jumps to the next line. Same for the brownish one, div container 6. It's important to clear the position, the value that you've given to the float. So if I make the float, for example, right, and I have the clear still set to left, this is not going to work. So clear can only override or clear the float when it uses the same value. Therefore, I have to update this to clear right. And now the float is cleared for all of them. So always try it out yourself to get some practice. It helps you understanding the concept. In general, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.